Okay, a huge good afternoon to everybody again. Happy Thursday. It's been one of them weeks, I think we can all agree. Tony's got a wry smile, so have I. I don't think Sunday night after Boris gave his speech to the nation, we could have predicted what this week would have looked like. I made an extremely incorrect and bold prediction on the Tuesday webinar at 3 o'clock. That Eggs and Sausage will probably be open on the 1st of July. Egg all over my face, of course. So there we go, shows what I know. Anyway, right, so huge thank you and a huge welcome again to Tony. How are you today, Tony? Are you well?
Yeah, good, thank you very much. You're buoying me up with your energy, Dave. That's just amazing.
Of course, it's a Thursday. We're on the downward track to the weekend. So we're all looking forward to our social distancing picnics in the park. So and football's back as well in Germany at least anyway. So me and Tony, big football fans. So I don't know who support this weekend. What do you reckon, Tony? I'm going Dortmund. I'm going to be a glory hunter, I think.
Well, that's a good team. Good team. If you're going to choose someone, then choose that one. Yeah, good idea. Wait till the Premiership, when the Premiership comes back, it'll be different.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yes, indeed. So, house rules before we get started again for the guys that have not been on the webinar before, on a go-to webinar. So, you guys are all muted to avoid any background noise, pretty obvious stuff. Please, questions on the go-to webinar control panel. It's the orange, whichever way you can see me, it's the orange expand button there. So, please do ask questions during the webinar. I will pose them to Tony as we go. Tony will be driving the majority of the webinar with the slides. I'll be flicking the slides out. I'll be his glamorous assistant this afternoon. And there is a lot of really, really important information this afternoon. So I will be sending out the slide deck. Please don't hesitate in making your own notes, of course, but there is a lot of information. I will get that sent out to you guys. Please don't worry about that. I'll also send the recording too. So if you want to share that with any co-directors, branch managers, branch directors and colleagues, please do that. So today's agenda, pretty standard stuff as we do normally. I've got my thoughts of the day, which I took from somebody online last night. We've got a poll. I think everybody's been doing polls today, so I apologise in advance for another poll. It's only one question. Very, very quick look on what's changed at our end of Brief Your Market and what we've changed in the last 24 hours. Then, of course, it's on to Tony, and we've got a live session on what's changed, basically, and some really brilliant advice for you guys in the room. So, this is my thoughts of the day. I'll just let you read that on the screen there now. So I have referenced the gentleman in question there, a guy called Jonathan Steen. He's got a prop tech company called The Boom. But yeah, very true and very indicative of certainly what I've been saying in the webinars in the last few weeks. So I promised only one question, so that'll be the one. So what have we got today? It's a pretty obvious one, I'm sure you're aware. So you can now offer viewings. Are you doing physical viewings or virtual viewings? Or both? And that'll just be for this week. So what is it you're doing this week? Interesting stuff so far. Please do all get involved again. You know, it's I won't charge to vote, don't worry. But yeah, I'm sure you guys have seen the polls that some of the media have done this morning. Again, that'll be a stronger data set, obviously, what we've got today. But again, it gives you guys an idea of what your peers are doing up and down the country. So if you're not voted yet, you've got 10 seconds to go. Okay, so the results are in, Tony. 14% physical viewings, 33% virtual viewings, and what I thought would probably be the result, 52% are doing both. So yeah, a good mix there. Thank you to you guys for getting involved in doing that. So, Tony, stand by your beds. 2 more slides. Brief your markets. If you're sending communications out to your database, you're back in the office, you've unfurloughed the marketing exec, or you simply just want to communicate with your database, we've got new campaigns you can drag and drop, dead easy. Speak to the team on this again after the call tomorrow, Friday. Tomorrow is Friday, actually, I'm losing track. So again, you can see there, we've got the quote from the Housing Minister, Mr. Robert Jenrick. Of course, a nice title, our offices have reopened. Again, you're new and back to some type of semi-normal opening hours there as well. So again, speak to the team if you want any help on getting that sent. So over to Tony. So Tony, I mean, you know, I was doing this, in the size I've got solicitor, co-founder, senior partner, former estate agent. Tony, tell the crowd. To you, sir.
Take it away, yeah. Dave, first of all, I've got to say to everyone, Dave's got a future in TV because he's getting really, he's just so motivated. So it's really good. Well done, Dave. Well done. Well done.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you.
First slide first, Dave. Yeah, so what I'm talking about is what to do about conveyancing, but really today I'm going to be talking about all the big changes that have just happened. So you're obviously going to need to know those so you can decide what to do about your conveyancing. Next slide, please, Dave. So for those of you who don't know me, Dave's just introduced me, but my name is Tony Piccirillo. I'm a partner and co-founder at AVRillo. Used to be estate agents, so that's given us a great insight as to your side of the fence and also our side of the fence, and really taught us about how we get transactions through. Because we work nationwide, I've got a really good feeling about how agents are trying to tackle this at the moment, and also how solicitors are as well. But it's really, really early days. There's just been some massive changes. So that's what I'm here to talk about today. Well, next slide, Dave, and I'll tell you, I'm so excited. I just want to carry on. So what I'm going to talk about today is what happened on the 13th. Okay, like you guys, lawyers were all shocked as well. It was a complete bolt out of the blue, wasn't it? I went by Dave's prediction on the 1st of July. I was banking on, I thought that was going to happen. You know? What is getting in the way of getting your cases to exchange? Because there are things that are going to, although we've had some good news, some better news, there are still things that are getting in your way. And the changing landscape and guidance, you've got to understand this is a changing landscape. You'll see from what I've done today that the government are really saying this is what we think about it at the moment. That's all they're really saying. They've made some changes, some improvements, but really what they're saying is let's see how it all goes. Next slide, please, Dave. So why you should be listening? Again, imagine it's not everyone's ideal cup of tea to be listening to about conveyancing on Thursday afternoon, but it's really important because it's a massive part. It's always been a massive part of estate agency business, but it's even more important when deals are so rare. When we're going to have a hard, maybe 5-6 months, maybe, you know, we've got to make every deal count. So it's really important you understand and make the most out of your conveyancing. So there was a misunderstanding about what everyone can do. Since the changes, there's an even bigger misunderstanding because with Boris Johnson's, really clear speech on over the weekend, it's just more confusing. So you've got to know about what you can and can't do, what deals you can push through, what deals you can't push through. Knowing this is going to give you value to your existing clients because clients are in the dark. They don't know what's going on. They listen to the news, they listen to social media. They really don't know. We are the experts, but we are globally the experts. Agents are expected to be the experts by their clients on conveyancing. Now, obviously, the better relationship you've got with your conveyancer, the easier that becomes. But primarily, rightly or wrongly, clients expect you guys to know all of this anyway. So it's stuff that you don't need to know everything, but you need to know the stuff that you can guide your clients so they can make the right decisions. And it also helps you get new clients as well. The more you know about this, the more when you're going out on viewings now, you can do those, the more you're able to explain to them, look, this is what's going to happen. This is how I'm going to manage your transaction. This is how I'm going to get you through. It's going to make a difference for you and getting new business on as well. Next slide, please, Dave. So this is the big change. What they were saying, so when the lockdown happened, what they were really saying is stay put. If you can stay put, stay put. There was a big urge for people to be flexible, for agents not to encourage exchange of contracts. That's what they were saying. So this is where the big change has taken place, really. Next slide, please, Dave. So what they did is they issued this called statutory instruments. So that was on the 13th. Next slide, Dave. So they came into force on the 13th of May, and this is what it says. So it's a bit boring, but I'll just read this because this is really the crux of all of the changes. This is really it. So agents are now allowed to undertake the following activities. So people are allowed to visit estate agents or letting agents, so they can come and see you. They can go to a new sales office. Viewings of residential properties can take place, whether that's to sell. This is primarily, we're talking about sales, not really rentals, but it's for sales and rentals. People can prepare for residential moves, so they can do that. There was a restriction before. They couldn't really do that unless there was critical circumstances. Now they're allowing it. You're allowed to now move home. The change from before was you had to have special reasons to be able to move. Now you're allowed to move. And also you're allowed to visit a residential property to undertake activities required for the sale or rental. So removals, etc., etc. Before that was a special exemption. So this is the crux of everything that's really happened. But guidance has been issued to elaborate on that. And unfortunately, what it does is, although this is like amazing news, isn't it really? What it does is it imposes quite a lot of additional duties on you guys, on everyone essentially, but you're the front line. I'm talking to you guys today. So it does impose duties on you and things you need to understand. I'm not going to be able to cover all of those today, but what I want to do is cover some of them. The rest of those things, if you drop me an email, I'll be able to send through something for you and the checklist that we're talking about as well. So next slide, please, Dave. So I've highlighted some of the important things. So this is, the government then issued guidance. So they issued initial guidance on the 26th of March, and this all changed on the 13th. So I've highlighted some of the important bits. This document does not represent a return to normality. So they're making that very clear. It's not, we're not back to pre-lockdown, no pre-COVID. It's not like that. They're trying to facilitate, which is great. They're trying to make transactions happen, but they're saying it's not normal. This is not going to, you're not going to be normal. So they're encouraged. So this is really good news. So we encourage all parties still to be involved. They're involved to be as flexible as possible over this period and be prepared to delay moves. No, they've not discounted that not happening. The good news is now they're really saying moves should be delayed, but for almost generally speaking, for medical reasons. So if someone's got the virus and the property moves, someone's shielding, those sort of reasons. So the emphasis is very much turned in favour, okay, we've got to try and get them moved. But what they're saying is this is not normal. So this is really interesting. Not many people have spotted this completely. So it may also become necessary to pause all home moves for a short period of time to manage the spread of the coronavirus. Now, what that's really saying is lockdown may happen again. That's what it's really saying. They're saying that they'll say, we'll let you know if that happens. Yeah, so what they're saying is, but it's kind of a return to, it's kind of a return. We want to encourage you guys, but it's not normal circumstances. Be prepared just in case things change again. So I think some people get the impression it's all back to normal. It's not back to normal. Next slide, please, Dave. So this is, they say, good news. People are free to move home. However, the process of finding and moving into a new home is likely to be different. And they've put in place actually practices and things that will now need to be different. So this is really important because this duty is on you, and you do have to do this. So one of the big things is they're saying initial viewings should, it doesn't say must, but it says should be done virtually wherever this is possible. And I'll come on to later where I think, Dave, what was the results of our virtual viewings? You did a poll? What was that?
So yeah, virtual viewings 33%, 52% are doing both physical and virtual viewings.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So you've got to be doing this. Even if you even don't think that's going to sell the property, I personally think actually it's a good first step. It's cut out a lot of time wasters, and everyone's limited resources and agents, so I think it's actually a good first step. But actually, I think later on I'm going to talk about why I think you must do that to protect yourselves having a claim against you by a member of the public or a member of staff. So all physical viewings should be limited to members of the same household, and open house viewings should not take place. So you can't do open houses. So obviously that, for some agents, that was actually a big part of their business before. They can't return to doing that at the moment. Next slide, please, Dave. So we'll go on to the cleaning bits later on. It says, we recommend that you must vacate your property, this is to the public, whilst viewings are taking place in order to minimise contact with those not in your household. Anyone involved in any aspects of the home moving should practice social distances. So obviously that applies to everyone now, doesn't it? It obviously applies to agents as well. Just a little thing as well, just about removals. It's suggesting to people that they do as much packing of them as themselves. They try and do it themselves. Next slide, please, Dave. So then they give various bits of guidance throughout each stage. That they give little things. So this one's guidance on preparing to buy, sell, or move home. So obviously you can put your house on the market. Your agent can begin marketing the property, take videos, photographs, and things like this. So my advice, really, one of the big pieces of advice, and it's a bit, you're probably going to be doing this anyway, guys. Hopefully you are. Is any property you take on, you make sure you do a video of it, because you don't know if lockdown's going to happen again in 2 weeks' time, 3 weeks, a month's time. One of the big things that we're all caught out, a lot of people were caught out before, was they had no videos, so they couldn't really show property. So they had to rely on people maybe taking something on their iPhone and doing it that way, which obviously I think it's a lot of agents now are doing this as read. They're always doing videos, so I think it's a really good thing that you have a stock of videos to be doing that. So I think one of the big pluses, I mentioned it last time, is about getting sales ready. You know, that one of the outcomes I think out of all of this is the market, in a good way, is going to have to change to make exchanges happen faster. So we've been doing this for years, and it actually makes a massive difference to pre-prepare the paperwork. So you've almost got the equivalent of what's called the home information pack or property pass, whatever you want to call it, but you kind of front load all that information. I think that's where that's where agents are going to make money, because if you're just letting your transactions go through in a normal time scale, that time scale, unfortunately, I think it's going to be extended. It's already slow, it's going to take even longer. So we've got to be you've got to be working with your lawyers to take steps to make sure that you're doing as much as possible to get this case exchanged. So it's primarily the lawyer's job, but you've got to work as a team with your lawyer to make sure that happens. So getting the sale ready at the start is going to be really important going forward. Next slide, please, Dave. So viewings, again, kind of repeat what I just said. People should use virtual viewings before visiting the property. Personally, I think it's a great idea. I know from the agents that I've been speaking with, you know, no one's going back whole hog. You know, people are going back, you know, a little bit at a time. That maybe started to think about taking some people off furlough. So everyone, the consensus I'm getting amongst lawyers and agents is very short of resources. There was, you know, some news today. The interest was up 45% today. So, you know, people are very, very short of resources to be able to allocate to viewings and things like this. So I think virtual viewings is a must, not only for the guidance, but also for your peace of mind and for your resources. One of the other things, again, it's an important checklist. You've got to have, you know, one of the things I'll be saying to you later on is you've got to design yourself a checklist to make sure that you can comply with this, to make sure that if anyone is affected by coronavirus and they try to blame it's your fault, then you've got a checklist that you can say, actually, no, I followed the guidance. All viewings should take place by appointment and only involve members of a single household. Okay, so obviously you don't, it's difficult. You know, what's a single household? I don't think they expect you to police to make sure you live there, you know, but you've got to be just, you know, you've got to be a bit conscious of it, you know, at least get people to confirm. Okay. Right, next slide, please, Dave. Viewings, I think, well, yeah, viewings, they can take place, but you've got to follow health and safety. There's things about cleaning and cleanliness and things like this. It's a matter of really reading these guidance. And later on, again, I'm going to talk about a checklist that you might be able to use to help you on that as well. But essentially, there are things you must do. You know, there are things that you must do now. And when you look at it, it seems like lots. But if you've got a checklist, it's really going to help you. Next, Dave. So making offers or reservations. Well, great news. It's really good news. You can say you've got to understand though, you can make offers, but you've got to understand there's a greater risk that parties may need to delay their move because someone is showing symptoms, coronavirus, or self-isolating. So again, just to repeat, because it's not all systems go. What they're saying is systems are better. You can kind of go, but be prepared to make sure that health and safety comes first, and be prepared also that one, another lockdown can happen, or B, the people involved in that transaction may not be able to move. So the government quite rightly is saying that, you know, health is paramount. It says, we'll come on to this later on because this is one of the stumbling blocks. It says your legal advisor will make sure that there's arrangements in the contract to make sure that if there is any sort of coronavirus issue, that's accounted for. We'll see, it's very much easier said than done, but that's what in theory the government is saying. Next slide, please, Dave.
Sorry, John, there you go.
So one of the other things very interesting, and this is one of the things that is going to be a bottleneck in the future, and one of the things that you've got to be speaking to your lawyers about is it's one thing the government's saying these things. So let's see what they've put a very positive spin on this, and they said property searches, so your local search, your water search. Says your legal representatives should, you'll see in a second is a very apt word, should be able to carry out searches on your property online in order to progress your transaction. And it sounds amazing, right? Because then you see the facts underneath. It says 92% of local authorities are operating as normal, and 4% expected to come back in the next few weeks. Oh my gosh, you think it's amazing. Right, next slide, please. But this is the reality. The reality is, this is just the list I saw of yesterday. There's lots of councils still closed until further notice. So if you're in any of those areas, there are ways that you can still satisfy clients and still satisfy mortgage lenders without doing searches. So if you're in those areas, speak to your lawyers and see what solutions they got for you. If they don't know, you could welcome to email me and I'll give you some suggestions. But there are solutions. But searches is going to be a massive bottleneck. The reality is, I've been speaking to the people that we go to for our searches because we get them expedited. The people we go to, they're saying that generally speaking, the reality is probably about 3 or 4 weeks delay with searches on top of the original delay. So one of the big gripes for everyone is that searches take too long. Yeah, so on top of the normal delay, you've got this extra delay. So one of the big bottlenecks is going to be coming up is going to be, well, the search is not back. So that's something that I'll go on to very quickly later, but today I'm really more discuss about what the changes are. So good news is that the government are saying, you know, get going, start doing the searches, get on with it. But one of the things of today is you guys have got to be speaking to your lawyers to be talking about a plan together, because at the end of the day, you both want to be in business. Hopefully you both want to get the transaction through. You both want the client to move, and ultimately you both want to make money, because reality is we want to provide I mean, we're all about service, you know. We want to provide an amazing world-class service, but ultimately, you know, we also need to get paid, because otherwise we can't provide that service to clients. And the same with great estate agents as well. Next slide, please, Dave. Yeah, good news is surveys can be undertaken. I don't know really, I haven't got a feel yet for whether mortgage companies have actually issued that consent to their surveyors to go around. I've had one of a broker that we know very well and he's not heard anything from the lenders at the moment to say, yeah, it's okay in theory, you can start doing this, but have they told people they should start doing it? I don't know whether those guys are furloughed. There's probably going to be a huge delay on surveys as well. But good news is, subject to the normal social distances, taking precautions, they can do that. So, which is good news. Next slide, please, Dave. So agreeing to move. So this is important. Once you've agreed to move by exchanging or signing a tenancy, very important to understand you've entered into a legally binding contract. What the government really now saying is that, and what they said before, is that you enter into a contract if someone is then self-isolating or can't move because of coronavirus, that is still a binding contract. And I'll re-explain what that means later. But it's important to understand is, it's very, very serious that you're actually exchanging. People, just because the lockdown's over, doesn't mean that one of your clients can't get coronavirus. That doesn't mean then that the day that they think they're going to complete on, they won't be completing on. So there's still a huge problem for people buying and selling. So reality is, great, you know, the government have given us consent to go ahead, which is amazing. But what they're saying is, look at the reality. Reality is there still could be problems. Reality is that there still could be a lockdown. Reality is that your clients could still be affected and could still not be moving. So again, they're just guiding us that, okay, try to be flexible. They say in there, again, and I'll explain it more in detail in a second, they're saying that the lawyers should come up with a clause. So what they're saying is you can exchange contracts. So you've got a case that's ready today. You can exchange contracts. Lawyers, you've got to come up with a clause which makes sure that if someone has got coronavirus, then everything's okay. Reality is that's not happening, and that's slowing down your deals. So, and I'm going to tell you what I think, what is happening at the moment to try and get around that and try to predict what's going to happen. So next slide, please, Dave. I'm trying to predict what's going to happen. I'm going to be like you, Dave. I'm going to try and predict what's happening.
So we've had a question coming up, a really good one actually, by the way. John, thanks for that, John from Crossroads Property, who is a surveyor. Interesting. So just going back a slide, got a good one. Thank you for this, John, by the way. I'm a surveyor and particularly interested in how the SI may affect pre-purchase home survey inspections.
Sorry, I didn't hear can you repeat that question, please?
Yeah, so John, I am a surveyor and particularly interested in how the SI may affect pre-purchase home survey inspection.
SI, I'm not too sure what SI means.
Yeah, but John, if you want to explain what it is and what I'll do, I'll go back to Tony on that and we'll go on to the next slide on that.
I'm happy to speak to John afterwards as well, happy to do that. Okay, guys, then it comes into some specific guidance for you. Okay, so it's long. It's quite, actually, I was surprised how detailed it was, but it's actually quite long. I've kind of broken it up a little bit for you. But the good news is you can open for business. Now, you did a great survey yesterday as to, you know, and you got some information about how many people are actually opening for business, but yeah, you can open for business, but it's obviously got to be safe. You know, health and safety is always first. Then they're kind of giving you some sort of checklist type things. Okay, so things that I would put in a checklist. Agents should inform customers and their staff about their procedures. So if they're telling you that, I think you've got to do it. Agents should ask whether parties show any symptoms. So I think you've got to ask. I don't think you need to go to investigate them or anything like this, but you've got to at least ask. Operate. All of that stuff is all checklist sort of stuff. Then it goes on to what you must not do. So what you must not do, you must not carry out open houses, and you must not drive your clients to appointments. So you haven't got them in the car anymore, driving them to the next property. Next slide, please, Dave. Then you've got some health and safety stuff, which you've got to do, which again they're saying you should do. Obviously, 2 meters distance. Said all parties, and it tells you about, even goes into details about washing your hands with soap and water. You know, about the towels you should use, because so it's a lot of detail. Agents should ensure that any keys are appropriately cleaned before handover. So again, this is sort of stuff that I think you've got to, unfortunately, I think what I'm worried about, and it's not proved yet because coronavirus is a brand new virus, what I'm worried about is to give this guidance, okay, no one follows it, someone then gets coronavirus, and they link that back to an activity you did. There's no cases on it yet, but as an employee, would I think, okay, well, had my boss not done that, would I have been okay or not? I mean, I think there's a case that's probably about to start that I heard on the press about someone, a member of British Railway worker. Unfortunately, someone actually spat on her, and now it's in the press to say, and she unfortunately got coronavirus and she died. And now there's rumblings in the press to say, well, she was forced onto the platform to go and see this person. So it wouldn't surprise me if the family of that person doesn't think about taking action against. So who knows? What I'm saying is, I think checklists are a great idea anyway, okay, because it's good. I think it actually looks good. I think it looks good for customers. It actually separate you from the other agents, how you look different, how you're more professional. But I think it's actually good for you to protect yourself from liability. And then it talks about dates. Again, it just really says, look, try and be flexible. Make sure people understand there needs to be flexibility on dates. But you can't, you can tell your clients about that, but if they exchange, they're still committed to that day. Next slide, please, Dave. Yes, this is what I was talking about. I think you're going to be very careful. I think you might end up having a duty of care. There's no case law on it at the moment, but you might end up having a duty of care, definitely to your staff, I would say, but possibly to the homeowners as well. I don't think you need to be policemen, but I think a checklist will go a long way in getting you clear to show that you followed the right procedure. And I don't think it needs to be very detailed, but I think you need to have something and dated and signed to say that procedure's been followed. Next slide, please, Dan. So what does it say for conveyancers? It says conveyancers can open for business. Okay, they can take on new instructions. You're going to try and do it much of their business as possible is remotely. So one of the big implications for lawyers there is, and that you've got to, again, key for this has always been speaking to your lawyers. It is really a partnership. What are your lawyers doing for ID? Lots of lawyers still use the very traditional way that clients have to come into the office, they have to eyeball them. How's that going to happen? How's that going to happen? Have they got the staff for that to happen? Do they want the people to come into the office to see them? So that sort of thing needs to be thought about, because it's actually going to delay a transaction, because you must have ID. You can't let a case exchange without it. So hopefully you're speaking to your lawyers, if they're the old school and haven't been doing it that way. We've been doing it for quite a long time, but a very advanced way of doing it. So actually, to reassure your lawyers, you put some time and thought into it. It's actually really easy, and it can be done, and it actually works much better for the client and for the lawyers. But you need to be thinking about that. And again, it talks about this famous, keeps on repeating, lawyers have got to put clauses in to make sure that there's flexibility and it counts for individuals in the chain getting coronavirus. Next slide, please, Dave. What I'm saying there, there's other bits and pieces. If you want particular guidance on any of these things, it's actually in the guidance. And I say, if you want it guidance, email me and I'll send it to you. Next slide, please, Dave. Again, quick summary: surveyors, EPCs can start working subject to the normal health and safety concerns, washing hands, etc., etc. Removal companies, again, they can do it, again, subject to the same rules. Next slide, please, Dave. There's some really good guidance, which is guidance. Is a guide that's been issued by a multiple kind of group of people, property professionals. And I think in there's some quite good checklists. So that's a good starting point. If anyone wants to do checklists, you can almost just get that and that's it if you want. So if anyone wants that, again, email me. Is my email address there, and I think you're going to hand it out at the end, then I can let you have that as well. But you need to be taking action to protect yourselves. Next slide, please, Dave. So what's happening now? So are we now? What's delaying your exchanges now? Okay, so one of the things delaying exchanges is that the government are saying, and we've seen it all along, put clauses in the contracts, put clauses in the contract. But the reality is there's no clauses. No one's got a set clause to put into a contract. So lawyers cannot at this time, because it's a new event, and these issues are not being tested at the courts. No one knows if the next lockdown is going to happen. Lawyers can't think of a clause which is really going to protect anyone. You know, it's just not going to happen at the moment. There's nothing that's been guaranteed until it goes to court. No one can guarantee anything. People can have a stab at doing it, but lawyers are very reluctant to do that, understandably, because they don't want to be sued. You know, so I understand that, but we've got a problem. Is how we're going to get your cases through to exchange. Next slide, please, Dave. So the clause has got to take into account all these potential issues. It's just not going to happen that the clause will have all of these things in. I've seen some clauses recommended by lawyers or sent over to us for our clients, which have been shocking, which in no way will protect the client at all. They're not really complying with what the government requirements are. But that's just a state of play. So these are the things that are holding up exchanges. Next slide, please, Dave. So again, this is just to say there's never been a standard clause to protect anyone. The government didn't come out and say use this. They didn't come out and say that. So as a result, there's no guidance for any of the lawyers. As a result, I don't think anyone really could hand on heart say, look, this is what I've got, and this is 100% going to comply with what the government want. Next slide, please, Dave. So before exchange contracts, you've got to come up with a clause. We'll see in a second, it's almost impossible. If you have exchange contracts, the change from before the government was still saying, hold on, try not to, bless you. We're trying to say, yes, don't complete. The first option, don't complete. Now they're saying, yeah, you can complete. You can go, which is great news. Next slide, please, Dave. But if your client has coronavirus or is shielding and things like this or something to change, you still can't complete. So they're saying you can complete, but you can't complete. But you can complete, but you can't complete. So it's how clear it is, Dave. So that's the problem. Next slide, please, Dave. So the problem is that, you know, if your client is in theory able to complete, but they've got the coronavirus, so they're still not able to complete, that client can still be sued for breach of contract. And this is why, and I think there's a big misconception that everyone thinks it's back to normal. Let's just start exchanging, let's start banging them out and things like this. We are as a company, we're giving our clients choices. We're saying to clients that you can have a clause, and we've got a clause that we hope will give them some protection, but we're saying you can't rely on that because we don't know. It hasn't gone to court. So that's a choice for you. But the other choice is you do a simultaneous deal, and I think everyone's thinking it's back to normal. It's no way it's back to normal. I think this only happened the other day, so the sentiment of the market that I've spoken to so far is still very much, let's do simultaneous exchanges and completions. It's not ideal. It's not ideal for us, not ideal for the lawyers. But I think that's the sentiment, because it's not all systems go. It's not normal. People can still be sued. Next slide, please, Dave. So this is what I was just saying, really. The reality is it's still too early to know how the market's going to go. I would much prefer to be exchanging contracts. I'd much prefer to do that. But the reality is, I think your client's going to have an appetite to say, I'm going to exchange and I'm going to take the risk if it doesn't go ahead. So it's one thing, easier said than done, because if someone does breach their contract because they've got coronavirus, and who could determine when you're going to have that? They're still liable to pay 10% penalty deposit. Okay, so that can happen. So buying for £500,000, your client could easily automatically lose 50 grand. So it's still a problem. The market at the moment is still going for simultaneous, and I think that's the way it's probably going to be for a little while, until we maybe just psychologically get a bit more settled in our mind and see how the things go. Next slide, please, Dave. I think what you're going to understand is, at the moment, it's not business as normal for lawyers. And I'm not saying this to protect lawyers. I think as an industry, we've got to work very much more as a team. I just want to be realistic and give you realistic advice about how I think you should make money to get deals through. It's not back to normal for lawyers. It's not back to business for agents. It's not back to normal for lawyers. It's not back to normal for anyone. They're back to work, okay, but back to work doesn't mean, I've not heard of anyone bringing everyone back off furlough. I've not heard of anyone doing that. People are, so we're for example, bringing people back off furlough to start progressing our deals and getting deals to exchange and the deals that were a bit further away to exchange. But for most people, they're not even started to do that yet. Unfortunately, what's going to happen, resources are very limited. There's going to be lots of lawyers that are going to be closing their doors. And I'm not saying that to feel sorry for people, right? What I'm saying is it's going to be affecting you guys. Next slide, please, Dave. Because what happens if a lawyer closes down, like that lawyer on the last page, they close down. Actually, I know those people, and they're actually really good. They're a good firm, but they close down. Okay. The pipeline, their pipeline, your pipeline, is in their hands. So what happens if a company closes? What happens is the regulation authority then has to send someone in to intervene. So which means they're going to take all those cases, start looking at them, find out what's going on, and then start pushing them along. So you can imagine, conveyancing takes long enough anyway. Coronavirus has extended that. If someone is intervened, it's going to be even longer. So it's serious, you know, they're stretched. So what you got, so one of the things I would recommend you do is you work with lawyers that carry out a bit extra due diligence on the lawyers they're working with. So we do that. We do a couple of things to make sure that we think that company is someone that's probably safe to deal with, probably going to be in business, to make sure that that protects your pipeline and our clients and our pipeline as well. There are going to be bottlenecks, and I think in reality, unfortunately, it's going to take even longer to get to exchange and completion. I think with the coronavirus change, it's going to take even longer. So you've got to start taking action with your lawyers about how you're going to condense that time. Because it's like this at the moment, right? It's probably about average in the UK, it's probably about 20 weeks from offer to completion. It's a massive amount of time, 20 weeks. That's going to expand, right? So you've got to get it back as close as possible to 20 weeks or less. You know, to stay in business. If you can get that less, that's how you're going to stay in business and actually make some money as well. Next slide, please, Dave. So what I think you should be doing now, so I think you should be, I'll come on to the task where I think you can get cases to exchange now, to exchange and complete. And you can get them to exchange and complete. I'll show you in a second, you can be selective about what you're doing, but you can do it. You can get your cases to completion if they've already exchanged, unless there's a coronavirus issue in the chain. Doesn't matter if it's, you know, if someone in the chain doesn't want to move, people may be able to break the chain, but essentially it could cause problems. Can you get new property on? Yes, 100%. That's what you guys should be doing. That's really what I think your big focus should be. If you've got the resources to do it, that's what your big focus should be. Current pipeline, yeah, always get a case to exchange as possible, obviously as quickly as possible. What can you do now? What should you be doing now? Next slide, please, Dave. I think one of the things you've got to be doing, and I keep saying it, and I'm not going to apologize for keep on saying it, because this is going to save your business, it's going to help your clients, and it's going to help lawyers as well. You've got to work better as a team with your current lawyers. You know, so much, it's almost like the teamwork picture on the left, that, you know, people really, you don't know what each other's doing. The lawyer says this, you say this, it's just like this. So this is the time now, really, it's going to be better as a team, not only for your current cases, but thinking about the cases, the new instructions that come on. Hopefully, you know, and in 6 months' time, it would be great. You know, if the market be back to normal, if not even a bit more. So we've got to make sure that, obviously, get our current pipeline through, but new stock is coming on, and we're selling new property. It's got to be the teamwork on the right, because lawyers can help you a lot, and you can help the lawyers a lot. But so often it doesn't work like that. So it's got to be more teamwork, more communication. And if you're not working with lawyers that do that with you, you're going to be finding lawyers that do that with you, because that's going to make the difference between being in business and not being in business. Next slide, please, Dan. So what to do now? I can tell you what we're doing now. okay, and I can tell you what I think works. So but you have to discuss it with your lawyers. I think it's very important, bearing in mind your limited resources and lawyers' resources, you come up with a plan, okay? It's not everything, just because people are in theory back from lockdown, it doesn't mean everything's going to change tomorrow. You know, it means that resources across the country are limited. People are not all back from furlough. So what we've done with our agents is we're agreeing 7-day plans with them. So what cases do you want exchanged in the next 7 days? What can we really put our energy into? What can you really put your energy into that's going to make you money? That's going to get deals exchanged. On the other stuff, it's going to happen. You know, we're getting to that. We're doing that. You know, but there's no point chasing stuff that's not going to happen. You know, there's no point doing that. You know, so I think people are still agreeing simultaneous exchange and completion. Now, again, ideally, I'd like to do it and exchange as early as possible to lock that deal in, but people are still very nervous about doing that. And the reality is there's still lots of problems for the clients. If they get coronavirus, they're still going to potentially lose 10% deposit. The results you can get are actually amazing. Now, we're working, one of the agents that we work with, actually during the lockdown has actually taken out more bankings during the lockdown than he has normally. So if you really, you can focus all your energy. Look, Dave, I'm looking at you, can't believe But what I'm saying is there are, if you can focus just all your energy on, you think at a normal day, you spend a lot of time doing lots of stuff. But then if you get a point of focus, you think, you know what, I'm going to just do this. And you put your energy in that, you actually make things happen. And if you can do that on the deals that are really going to exchange, you just focus on there. That's you know, we need everyone needs cash flow at the moment. Agents need cash flow. This is what's going to give you cash flow. It doesn't mean ignore the rest. Of course not. It doesn't mean ignore the rest. The rest is going to get done. But let's focus on what really counts. I think we're doing something. We're going to introduce something called 2+, and what that means is going forwards. I think in the medium term, what's going to happen is that, I say, your pipeline, the amount of times you convert your pipeline is probably going to be 1 less than you convert it now. So if you convert your pipeline 4 times a year, you're probably going to go down to 3 times a year. If you convert it 3 times, you'll probably go down to 2 times because it's just going to take longer. So what we're doing, I suggest you do it with your lawyers, is try and come up with a solution of how, actually, what you're going to do is actually make it even faster. You're going to convert more of your pipeline. You know, so what you should be saying is that, you know, you've got to distinguish yourself from other agents. You know, if other agents, if their pipeline now is going to convert twice a year, you know, normally converts 3 times, what you should be doing is working with your lawyers to make you convert 4 times a year. So it's going to be 2 pipelines difference between normal agent and you. I don't know if that makes sense, but essentially what you're going to do is condense that time scale to get to exchange of contracts. That's going to keep you in business. That's going to make you do a remarkable job for your clients. Your clients will love you. You know, you're going to get lots of repeat business and you're going to be in business, but you must work with your agents to just condense that. Next slide, please, Dave. So what to do now? So these are just some very practical tips. Dave, if you get interest, we can do another seminar in more detail, but for now, these are just some very basic tips. Now, the delays are not rocket science. They're really not. When I came up from agency into conveyancing, so Angela, my business partner, and my brother, we're both co-founders over it. We were both agents. So when we came to conveyancing, we just looked at it and said, why are we losing so much time just on this little thing here? And time is lost on really crazy little things that actually, hopefully, your lawyers are doing for you. But if they're not doing, you'll be speaking to them and say, look, how can we change this? So 3 simple is save you 4 weeks, Dave. These 3 simple take on the instruction, take on the sale instruction on the day that you take on the property. That's that. It takes about an average across the UK, very broad average, takes about 3 weeks for the lawyer to be properly instructed. And I don't mean sending out a quote. What I mean is for the lawyer to be doing the legal stuff. It's about 3 to 4 weeks. So if you can do it, if you get instruction on the day you take the property on, or, which we always try to do that, or you get the lawyer to instruct. So the way we do it, we've got an app. So people instruct us on an app. The day that we get the quote through, the client clicks the link, we're instructed, we start that day. That saves 3 to 4 weeks.
Right.
So I say, if the COVID virus is going to extend your cases by 4 weeks, what this simple trick can contract it by 4 weeks, you'll be in the same position. This is Dave, this is amazing stuff. Can you see that? I think your new glasses are steaming up.
I was going to say, you're steaming me up here, Tony, come on.
The next thing to do is, again, very simple, but it's simple, but it's really effective. But it needs your lawyer to change the way they're working. Is on the day they're instructed, on a sale case, issue the contract the same day. We issue it the day we're instructed. What that does is it just generates, it makes the transaction move much faster. Again, it takes about three or so weeks to issue that contract. So again, another 3 weeks saving. The other big thing is get your search paid either by the seller. You might want to get the seller to pay for the searches. It'll take ages anyway, and then they get that back from the buyer. Okay, or if you're not going to do that, then at the very least, on the day that the buyer instructs the lawyer, get him to do the searches. Same day, you need to be speaking to the agents and lawyers. Need to be saying the same things to the clients. Look, it's what we want to do is really get you moved. To get you moved, we've got to do certain steps, and we need other people to help us. One of those things is to do the search. So what I suggest is if I'm going to send you a payment, I'm going to send you a request for payment today. If you pay me today, I can start those searches now for you. It's going to save you 3 to 4 weeks. That again, another 3 or 4 weeks save. You can see those 3 simple things. If you just did that, without my talk, you did that. That's going to make you exchange contracts probably 3 to 4 weeks faster. Next slide, please, Dave. Yeah, so I think again, teamwork is the difference. You know, I think you've got to be speaking to your lawyers more than ever now. You know, it's got to be that, you know, everyone's short of resources. You know, we're all in it. We all want to help our clients, and we're all in it together. We all want to be in business and just doing a great job. And if you do a great job, you're going to be in business. And if you do a great job, you're going to make money. And you do a great job, it's a win-win-win. So I'm an optimist, and I think, you know, although lawyers do get a bad press generally, I think there's some amazing lawyers out there. It's a matter of finding the right people. It's a matter of, first of all, working with your lawyers to see if they are the right people. And if you can get them to do these things, that's the easiest port of call. But if your resources are short and you haven't got time to do that, you need to be looking for lawyers that are going to do this for you. But I think there are some great people there. So I feel optimistic. I think, you know, I'm optimistic. It does not seem too much sense being anything else. Why not be optimistic? Next slide, please, Dave.
So you want to get a glass of water there, Tony? And I'm sir.
Well, that's the conclusion there. I think I just slightly ran over time, so I apologise for that. But that's the conclusion. So thank you very much. I think you got my email address next.
Yeah, so yeah, this is you, Tony. So we've got Tony's details on the screen. Obviously, I'll send out the slides to you guys later on this afternoon. If you've got any questions. Another question here from John at Crossroads. Thank you again, John. What's your feeling on how the lockdown may affect property prices, especially as you're encouraging to take new stock on board?
I didn't hear the last bit, but my question, I think the question was about what's my feeling about how it affects property prices.
Yeah.
If I knew that, if I knew that, I'd tell you, right? And but I listened to a very good, I think I said last time I was on, a really good economist. I can't remember his surname, but it's something Flag, but he was really, really good.
Yeah, Martin Flag, yeah,
that's the one. So he's really good. So I can't do more than repeat what his predictions were. His predictions were that actually it might be, it's my understanding, his predictions, it might be a little slowed down this year, prices might go a little bit down, but essentially he thinks, I think at the end of the year, it might even be up to as much as 5% up. And I think that's probably, I mean, if now you just look at the sentiment at the moment, there's been a huge demand of, you know, people inquiring about property, about buying property, you know, about letters. I think, you know, we'll probably find ourselves in actually a really good position in about 6 months. That's what I'm hoping for. And I think there's been masses of pent up demand from pre-Brexit. You know, it was before, it was, oh, after we get through Brexit, I'm going to start buying a house. You know, that's what it's going to be. And then that kind of, you know, the market started to gain momentum and then it stopped. And I think there's a lot of pent-up demand, and I think there's a lot of people that now are realizing, well, actually, I don't need to live near work, so I can actually change houses. I can move out. There's probably a lot of people thinking, I don't want to live in the same household anymore, you know. So I don't need this house anymore. So I think there's going to be lots of those natural changes that have been pent up maybe over 6 months. They're going to be happening now. So actually, I think all of us, my view is, we have a very tough 6 months that you've got to be actually doing all the right things. And to be honest with you, I think after 6 months, if you do the right things, I think, you know, the people in business are going to have a very good business. But it's a matter of doing the good things and keep doing them. Yeah,
100%. Okay, right. So they took it out there. It's going to, the audience are still here, Tony. We've done a good job. Thank you ever so much again. I mean, I was putting the content together earlier today. Some really great practical stuff in there. And as Tony said again, you know, what we will do, we're taking a couple of days pause on the webinar. So I think, to be quite honest with you, a lot of you guys are busy reopening your offices, getting your rubber gloves on and cleaning the desks and getting ready to get open, to be fair. So we've not got a webinar tomorrow, or possibly not on Monday, but we will be back with you next week. I'll let you guys know, of course, and obviously keep an eye on our social media channels. I think there's a lot of dust to settle from certainly the last week. So a huge thank you again. I know it's exceedingly busy this week, and it's, you know, the next chapter of what's going on at the moment. And I do genuinely, I know Tony does too, appreciate your time in listening. We'll send a follow-up email with Tony's details on the recording, and of course the slides as well. So have a great night. Look after yourselves over the weekend. Stay safe, stay well, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon. Take care. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Cheers.